3, 2, 1, see ya! Let's dive into another amazing Air Sports News episode, this time from the mountain peaks of Monte Brento in Italy, where Dominic Satire caught up with the Russian national wingsuit team, including Konstantin Kuntz and Alexander Sheletov. The temperature at the top was minus 7 degrees of Celsius, but the flight must have been hot and full of adrenaline. What an experience for sure. It's so good to see athletes all around the world focusing on their training before the start of the 2022 season, trying to avoid all the COVID restrictions and making their dreams come true. So let's check out what's going on in the world of air sports and the aviation industry. But before we start, please hit the like, the share and the subscribe buttons of all our content. You'll receive a big thank you from all of our team and of course the constant updates to the aviation content from us. My name is Regan Tetlow. Let's get into it. At the beginning of last week's show, we took you to the Carry-On Hang Gliding Cup in Australia, a very friendly competition where the results, they're not as important as the flying itself. Now the chill out time for the hang gliders there is over because they're moving to New Zealand for the 44th New Zealand Hang Gliding Open Championship. Organisers are looking forward to another spectacular competition for 22. Everyone who attended last year agreed that 21 was probably the best year yet in Murchison, clocking up 10 days of flying in great conditions. The main site for the Nationals is Mount Murchison, 360 degrees of takeoff, high mountain site situated bang smack in the middle of the west and the east coast. The main focus of the week will be to facilitate the National Open class for intermediate and advanced pilots. They will also run a sports class for King posted gliders. Novice pilots are also welcome to attend and fly when conditions permit. The event will start tomorrow. Now it's time for a short update from the paragliding Ozone Open in Colombia, which is taking place in Cali City. More than 100 pilots are competing in South America right now, and after the first task, Tyler Newberry from the USA is in the lead, before Martin Kreshenk from the Netherlands and Alexandro Pelez from Colombia. The Ozone Open is a fun and educational event for pilots looking to hone their cross-country skills and experience the fun and excitement of competition flying without the stress and pressure of an overly competitive environment. The event will finish on Friday and we'll let you know about the final results in next week's show. My first special guest this week started skydiving in 2001 and now has more than 15,000 jumps. He's worked his way up from packing parachutes in the hangar to shooting video and now coaching canopy piloting skills for all levels and also training the military. He also took an impressive first place at the Swoop Freestyle Championships in Copenhagen in 2018. This is Travis Mills.
When did you first have the idea that it could be a career for you?
Well, really it was when I took that break and decided that it's something I really wanted to do. I was still working in the kitchen. I was a sous chef at the time, still planning on going to culinary school. Pretty much thought I had myself a route planned out. And then I started jumping, doing the tandem progression. And again, I just couldn't get my head out of the clouds and hanging out the drop zone every chance I could get. And the Packer was getting ready to take off for the season to head back east. And he's like, hey man, if you can make some money doing this and you can be around it all the time. And I kicked it around and finally said, you know what, this is what I want to do. And ended up pretty much moving to the drop zone, still living with mom. I'm 19 years old. Luckily mom was there to help me. And because I started packing at the drop zone and it's just been going ever since.
Was it just a weekend drop zone or was it full time?
It was full time, but it was a small drop zone. So we would get a caravan in the wintertime, and then summertime they had 2 182s that they would fly. So not extremely busy, but it would, they could do some business. It was funny. I would do so many jumps that we get discounted rates, but I would do so many jumps that by the time I fill my invoice out at the end of the week, I would owe the drop zone money. And it was funny.
And the full interview with Travis is now available on our Air Sports Promotion YouTube channel. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to be constantly connected with our content there. There's hundreds and hundreds of interviews over the last couple of years. Oh, and if you want to work in the skydiving industry and fancy a summer in Norway, Skydive Oslo are looking for 2 people with experience using the Burble system and who like working with skydivers. They offer a competitive salary, staff discounts and free accommodation. You can contact Sandy Allen on the emails listed below for more info. Good luck. So do you love aerobatics and enjoy looking up and admiring great pilots performing their stunts and displays during the air shows in the summer? Well, maybe now it's time to change your perspective and become part of Mike Gullions' team. Yep, this is one of the best pilots worldwide and he's looking for new people. Check this out. If you love air shows and sport flying and you're a passionate and professional tail wheel pilot or an expert mechanic, Gullion Aerosport might be the place where you can live out your passion. Gullion's team is looking for amazing people to join them on an adventure which plays out at amazing airshow venues each summer. If you think you'd like to join the team, you can send a message and who knows, maybe your life will change upside down. And if you get the job, please give us a shout out because of our announcement. We'd like to know if it's been worth it to promote it. Italian hang gliding pilot Andrea Garini is a famous YouTuber releasing stunning shots from his flights all over the world. And now, for the first time, he has managed to fly with a smoke system. During Andre's first test flights, he lost a lot of altitude and managed to deploy smoke flares mounted on the edge of his steering bar. Because of the fire safety issues, he chose to fly over the bay and decided to land in the water. It's quite dangerous though, but anyway, the results are just brilliant. Congratulations, Andre. So previous Air Sports News guest Jetson, a Swedish startup company, said on Thursday that after it began pre-order sales of its Jetson 1 personal electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft last year, it sold out its entire 2022 production. Wow! Another 100 units have already been sold for 2023 delivery, with more than 3,000 pre-ordered for next year. Currently, it is available for $92,000 with a $22,000 deposit. Jetson designed its eVTOL to be easy to fly with no need for a pilot certificate. The aircraft will be classified as an ultralight vehicle that does not require any certifications. The weight of the vehicle is just 190 pounds. It's equipped with Tesla battery cells, and the aircraft has a maximum flight time of 20 minutes and a top speed of 63 miles per hour. There are many eVTOLs on the market right now, and most of them look very stylish and modern. But one of them, called the Ziva, looks like, well, maybe judge for yourself. Ziva's zero electric aircraft has successfully completed its first untethered test flights last week. The vehicle made a total of 4 flights without a pilot during the test session and conducted maneuvers including a controlled hover, simulated taxi at slow speeds, and limited vertical climb. It will have a range of 50 miles, cruise at up to 160 miles per hour, and be small enough to fit in a standard automobile parking space. Price? $250,000. Let us know in the comments what you think of the shape of this. For me, a little bit claustrophobic. The Treasury Department in the USA put the DJI drone manufacturer on an investment exclusion list, banning US citizens from buying and selling shares in them. It has been alleged that DJI's drone technology has been used for surveillance of the Muslims in China. So what about buying this extremely popular drone in the US? The ban, at least now, is largely symbolic, as DJI is not a publicly traded company. Consumers in the US can continue to buy and use DJI drones. In 2020, the Department of Commerce barred US companies from exporting products to DJI, which had been judged to be a national security threat by the Department of Defense. It really is amazing how the drone industry has become one of the biggest and most influential markets in aviation right now. But let's move from the industry to the FPV sport flying, because I made another catch-up chat with the masterclass of drone pilots from the USA. This is Alex Vanover.
Can you talk me through a little bit the differences between virtual and real life? Of course, one's virtual and one's in real life. And does the air, do you feel the wind on the real life as opposed to virtual? Tell me a little bit about the differences, the subtle differences.
That's a great question. So the big differences between the simulator and real life, obviously in the simulator, you don't have the effects of like wind and just turbulent air. Also, depending on the locations that we're flying at and the elevation changes that we have to deal with as well, that's something that you have to factor in when you're flying a real life drone. Sometimes the power of your drone isn't the same at every single race. Where the simulator, it's almost like you're flying a perfect drone. So it really is cool because the pilots have the ability to really push it hard on the simulator because it is just very dialed in and locked in. I'm always a good pilot when it comes to dealing with that adversity and having to kind of deal with change on the fly because, you know, every time you fly a drone, it's going to be a little bit different, even if it's built the exact same. Whereas the simulator, it's going to be the same every single time. And so that's kind of the big differences, but they're almost one-to-one with each other. And I always tell people too who are interested in getting into drone racing or getting into flying drones, start on the simulator because you can basically learn to fly a drone on the simulator and then pick up a real controller and fly it in real life. It's a great tool. And of course, the Drone Racing League simulator is the one that I like because you can actually do real drone races on the simulator, just like we did this year in the season.
And as always, the full-length interview with Alex can be found on our Air Sports Promotion YouTube channel. Go and have a look after the show. Alright, let's move on to our new short section which we debuted last week. It's describing all the best air sports athletes in the world. Our hero of the day today is Patrick von Canal. This world-class paragliding pilot was born in Switzerland in 1994. Right now, he's a test pilot for Advanced Paragliders Company and one of the top pilots in the Red Bull X-Alps grid. During the 21 edition of this competition, he covered only 16% of his track by hiking and running, spending 84% of the journey airborne. He covered almost 2,000 kilometers flying, approximately 48 hours in total. As he mentioned about his childhood, he learned a lot from his dad, but the first wing he ever flew was his mum's yellow old-school Paratech paraglider. In 2020, he achieved a great 500-kilometer non-stop flight in Brazil, very close to the world record, but not beating it, not just yet. Now it's time for our main Hall of Fame section. We love it. On the 15th of January in San Diego, California, Lieutenant Byron Quimby Jones set a flight endurance record of 8 hours and 53 minutes, flying a Martin T Army tractor. The flight consumed 30 gallons of gasoline, and Lieutenant Jones estimated that he had sufficient fuel remaining for another 2 hours in the air, but approaching darkness forced him to land. From the 4th to the 15th of January 1935, James Harold Doolittle set an FEI world record for speed over a recognised course of 329.98 kilometers per hour. Also on board were Mrs. Doolittle and Robert Adamson, and on the 15th of January 2009, Canadian geese were sucked into the US Airways Airbus passenger aircraft, shutting down both engines and forcing the crew to do a water landing in the Hudson River in New York. The captain and pilot in command was Chesley Sullenberger, who made a smooth water slide onto the surface of the river, saving 150 lives on board. On the 16th of January 1929, after a 10-month, 18,000-mile solo flight from Croydon Aerodrome, London, England, to Cape Town, South Africa, Lady Bailey arrived back to London, flying her de Havilland Moth aircraft. Lady Bailey was the first woman to fly from London to Cape Town and back, and she had made the longest flight ever accomplished by a woman, and her journey was the longest solo flight by either a man or a woman. She is the first woman to have flown over the Congo and the Sahara. That's it for today, guys. Once again, I kindly ask you to like, share our content and subscribe, making this program more popular and available for others to see, and of course keeping us on the air. Before we'll meet here again next week, take a look at this video from the great aerobatic pilot Paul Bennett, who shared some stunning shots showing how the Earth looks from his perspective. So as always, stay safe and keep your eyes on the skies.